The Chaser Report is recorded on Gadigal land.
Striving for mediocrity in a world of excellence. This is the Chaser Report.
Hello and welcome to the Chaser Report on Gadigal land. I'm Charles Firth, and with me today are Floyd Alexander-Hunt.
Hello.
And Dom Knight.
That's right. And I'm very sorry to say I didn't manage to get Shaquille O'Neal here for the podcast.
Gutting.
He expressed interest. I just thought, now that he's been on with Albo, Shaq's brand is useless in Australia. He's uncool now.
Isn't
He wouldn't fit into this podcast studio either,
What I thought was amazing was there's a point at which the angle of your head looking up goes from just like, oh, he's looking at that very tall man to adoration. Like, yes, it is impossible to look at Shaq without
adoration.
looking like you're expressing adoration. Like
Albo's not a tall
so
man
funny.
either.
No, but Albo's not a short man.
No,
he's sort of about the
ordinary
same height as me, isn't he? Like,
Yeah, he's not a short man.
But no, it was a very strange man. I have no idea, really. I mean, I know.
Well, wasn't he-
Shaq expressed interest in hearing about the issue. So, of course, the Prime Minister just cleared his schedule because Shaq couldn't just look at Wikipedia or something. Shaq had to meet with the Prime Minister to find out about the voice.
But that's good, isn't it? That's a coalition. That's an alliance of interest between Indigenous people and the Black rights movement in America, isn't it? Like, wasn't that the context?
That might have been what they were hoping for. I
Yeah.
think the general response was,
Why is Shaq
What?
here?
But wasn't Shaq here because Bet365 brought him out for a new ad campaign?
he was doing a whole bunch of corporate appearances and he was at Macquarie Bank because of course he was. Like that's where you go getting off the plane. He's probably just round the corner and they said, oh, the Prime Minister's in that building. Oh, just ring up, see if he's around, see if Albo's around.
Yeah, okay.
It was a strange moment in Australian politics and not the highlight of the first 100 days of Albanese, which you talked about at the press club this week,
Oh, yes.
listing his achievements.
Has he? Yeah, well, there's been tons of stuff, hasn't there? Like,
There's a bunch of... So he
he's
said...
been setting up those new gas fields.
Yes.
Opening up, there was a coal mine opened up in Queensland
Wow, good for him.
late on Friday afternoon, last Friday.
Why would they do that on a Friday afternoon?
I don't know
Charles?
why it was announced late on a Friday afternoon. Ackland coal mine has just been expanded. Yeah,
Right.
Okay.
Because you'd think that might have been front page news that they wanted to...
Yeah, why wouldn't they
chat
just
about.
do that on Monday so that everyone got to hear about it?
Why wouldn't they have got Shaq
They're
to announce
saints,
it?
yeah.
They could have got Shaq.
Yeah.
I've got some news.
What else? What else have they done?
Minimum wage increases, flood support, climate targets, moving on paid domestic violence leave.
Yes.
Things. They've certainly talked about wanting to do a lot of things as well.
And they've got the Jobs Summit this week. And to me, the most exciting thing of the first 100 days is this whole idea of having industry-wide bargaining.
Yeah, and it was so nice of Shaq to agree to chair the job summit. He's going to do an incredible job.
Yeah.
No one's going to argue with him. That's the thing. It'll be a very short meeting.
Yeah.
Who's going to take on Shaq at a summit of any kind?
No,
He's higher. He's higher up the summit than anyone in the room.
He is the summit.
He is the summer.
So the weird thing to me about this job summit, by the way, is I saw a press release on the weekend where the Business Council of Australia and other business groups had put out a joint press release with the ACTU. What's going on? Why are they friends now? It's bizarre. Are we actually going to solve something and make progress? Because that's just not. Isn't that not the way this works usually?
So do you want the comedic answer or do you want the real answer?
A bit of both.
Bit of both, yeah.
Because I saw this, I was like, you're supposed to hate each other. It's like when mum and dad are divorced and suddenly they're friends again.
There is a genuine problem that Australia faces, which is that the business interests need more immigration because they don't have enough people to hire.
I hate to do another callback, but it seems pretty easy to get Shaq into the country.
and the thing is that, the union movement could just say, you know what, we're going to not support more immigration. And
They often
that
did
would
that
be
in the past, right?
That
They
would
were
be a very not really in the last 30 or 40 years, but before that, yes,
Historically.
absolutely, because it's a very popular thing to say no immigrants. Like it's like look at Mark McGowan, like he got 90% approval values by basically saying no one, even Australians, can't even come into Western Australia. Like, borders are the one great Achilles heel of Australian politics. Like if you want to win an election, make the election about
Anastasia as well. She was the same.
So the business community really need the union movement to back in. Yep, We'll up immigration.
Yeah, right.
And so the union movement needs something out of the business. And what they've pushed for is, well, it won't just be enterprise bargaining anymore. We don't have to go business by business around and actually do the hard work of organising every shitty little 3 people in a row. We can actually go, no, we are bargaining on behalf of the podcasting industry.
Yeah, hang on, where's our
All
enterprise bargaining
podcasters-
agreement for this job, by the way?
Shut up. No, you've got to be paid something to be able
Oh,
to
yeah.
bargain. But, the entire podcasting industry, they'll just bargain on behalf of everyone and go, everyone deserves $1,000 a minute.
So is there just one representative from each sector at this?
That sounds quite efficient if they're doing industry-wide deals.
And that's what it used to be. Like before 1983, you just set the prices of labour for every industry. And the reason why the union movement loves that is because then it eliminates price competition. So instead of a business model being, oh, well, you know what we'll do? We'll just drive down the price of truck drivers and that'll be our advantage over the next business along. And suddenly you've got an incentive to have lower and lower and worse conditions. Suddenly if it's like the whole industry has to pay their truck drivers X amount of money, then suddenly it's got to be like, oh, we've got to be more efficient at our processes. We've got to actually have better trucks that are more fuel efficient to actually make a more profit.
Can I just jump in? Because this is sounding like genuine analysis.
Oh, sorry.
Insight.
Sorry.
I'm really not happy about this.
Sorry.
Floyd, are you feeling a bit uncomfortable with it?
Yes, I'm feeling like he's trying to teach me something.
I was just, I was noticing that you were just preparing for bed. You're just getting really tired.
That does genuinely make sense. Thank you for that explanation. I'm now deeply sorry that I asked. And I didn't want to learn something I didn't want to learn from you.
Anyway, so that's
podcast.
why,
That is
but that's why the unions and business have joined together, because they both need each other politically to back in things that wouldn't otherwise be popular.
Cooperation. What a bizarre idea in politics. It's just not the way it's supposed to work. But the point is, Albo doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need to get up and say, oh, look, I've had a great 100 first days at the press club.
No.
Because the amazing thing about Albanese's prime ministership
Yes.
is that normally after someone loses an election, they just go away. They just basically leave Parliament, disappear. Maybe in the case of Malcolm Turnbull and Kevin Rudd, they come back a few years later and snipe a bit. Whereas Scott Morrison has become an even more gaping wound since May than he has before. It's extraordinary that every single day, like Peter Dutton isn't even discussed. It's as though Scott Morrison were the opposition leader, but only to himself. He's actually managed to get both his old party and Labor to dunk on him in recent weeks.
Yeah.
And there's an amazing news story out this week. Do you know what he's done now?
Well, even more, like another ministry? Like, what is it?
No. You remember
He
all
appointed his wife, one of them.
do you remember all the kerfuffle about...
He forged the Governor-General's signature? Like what?
Scott Morrison is the Governor-General
Yeah,
as
right,
we speak.
yeah,
No.
It's very awkward. Very, very awkward. He's also the Queen. I don't know even how that's even possible.
The Chaser Report. News you can't trust.
So, you remember the discussion when Parliament started, he just fucked off to Japan for a week and we were kind of going, what? You've got a job to do. Oh, that's right. You don't like doing the jobs you're paid to do. That was before we knew that he did
He'd
like
had a lot of the
having
jobs.
a lot of extra jobs and not doing those as well.
That's why he went to Japan. He was so overwhelmed by how many jobs.
So he was kind of not there for the day. He didn't want to take his lumps from the electorate.
Did he have to set a separate email out of office,
for
every job?
Do you think he had like a to-do list for each job, like next to each other, like a different calendar going?
It would make you so anxious.
You'd be so anxious you'd do nothing, which is sort of like what he did.
Well, presumably he approved his own leave from Parliament.
Yeah.
And presumably he also gave himself a pair somehow.
Surely
I
he
don't know.
got, like, the more jobs you have, the more, like, money you
I
get
really
as well,
want the
right?
ATO to look into this. Can you imagine if he...
Yeah.
The-
Got a
what he
giant-
can
There's
deduct.
more tax deductions as well.
True.
Like his
Well, those
finance.
second, third, fourth, fifth jobs, you've got to start paying higher tax on those, don't you? So, like, surely on the other...
Now let's get
ministerial-
on to second jobs because you might remember that this thing to trip to Japan was kind of a junket. It was all these old failed PMs from around the world. I think David Cameron was there from the UK. It was basically a wash-ups club for people who've been rejected by either their parties or the electorate or both.
Yes.
And Scott Morrison got a hefty fee for attending that event. But it's just been revealed this week that for some reason, which entirely escapes me, he had publicly funded security on that trip. Taxpayers paid thousands of dollars to send an advance team to make sure he was safe, and they provided close personal protection to Scott Morrison and Jenny, in Japan, one of the world's safest countries. What possible reason?
But that's because Shinzo Abe, another former prime minister, got killed like the week beforehand, isn't it? Like, isn't the possible reason that
Was that the timing of it?
Yes, it was. Japan has a history of killing former prime ministers. Like, that's literally fresh in the memory.
That had just happened, admittedly.
Yeah.
But we don't normally provide security for former prime ministers or for anyone.
But surely there's a sort of phasing out thing. Because I imagine there would, like, if you're somebody who likes killing prime ministers or fantasize.
If you're listening to the podcast and you like.
So you're concerned that the kind of person who kills prime ministers
might not have got
been up to date. That's now Albo.
Exactly. Yes.
Funnily enough, that's actually what it was. He has. He kind of has trailing. Bing. I didn't realize that because you know how it's kind of Secret Service protection for presidents forever.
Yeah.
But then the rest of their family get about 6 months or whatever. It's kind of like that. He had about 6 months.
Is it for the public to forget them essentially? Yes. And then once they're forgotten, then we.
Yes. But that's not happening in Scott Morrison's case.
He's going to need it for a long time.
He's far less popular now than he was then. Well, then maybe he does need security. Maybe he should be his own security guard.
As many security guards as for each title he has to protect all the roles.
Yes, hundreds of people.
Yeah. I just think if you're getting a speaker's fee and free business class flights to Japan, which he did, could you pay for your own security? Is that too much to ask? Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems that every week, for the rest of the time he's in Parliament, there's going to be another embarrassing headline about Scott Morrison. And thereby, Albo has nothing to do.
I know,
doesn't need to do
which
anything,
is a problem unless you really like opening gas fields and coal mines. Because I think that there's this sort of lack of accountability that he's got going where it's like he can do anything.
As long as he doesn't secretly appoint himself to multiple roles, we're like, he's amazing.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
So you're just going, oh, look, okay, so we opened a few gas fields and we didn't want him to do that and we feel really let down.
But he's not Minister for Finance.
Yeah,
you know?
He's not simultaneously Home and Affairs Minister. We'll take it. Our standards are so low. And everyone's kind of going, he's kind of like a nice guy. He loves the Rabbitohs. He's mates with Shaq. Why would we get rid of him?
That's what you want to do, job-wise, isn't it? You want to come after someone who's so bad.
Yes.
That then you can't, or even dating-wise, you want to date someone who they've just dated the worst person in the world, and then the standards are so low.
That's how I found a wife.
That's how you want to set yourself up. You know?
Yeah, that is okay.
But doesn't this mean that when the sheen finally comes off Albo, it's going to come off hard because he won't have done anything to. Oh, Tanya's going to be loving this, isn't she? Is that a real thing? I mean,
that
I've
it will
seen
be
all this
worse.
spin over the past week saying that. Oh, actually, Tanya's the most competent minister, so they gave her Tanya Plibersek. They gave her the environment ministry because she's really good at really hard problems.
No, that's rubbish. No. The environment is like the worst ministry in the world. Like
I saw a profile about how she just, went to Cornell and was just striding on to take on all these huge challenges.
So I'm pretty sure like the health ministry, which is what she was about to become.
Education.
Oh, was it education?
Yeah, she wanted to do education.
Which is famously a very large and important role. Environment is, I think, something like, it's a tiny ministry. It's like,
but it's environment but without climate change. So it's environment without the most important.
It's
most
koalas.
important aspect of it.
But mind you, there is a very important role in protecting koalas from National Party MPs in New South Wales.
That's true. That's very vital.
Yeah. I was up in Byron on the weekend and the tales were of, and then the National Party member got in, or the National Party here on council, what they did was they allowed this developer to bulldoze a koala sanctuary. It's like, that's just, all around New South Wales, it's the Nationals just run on, and it's a really populist thing to do to get rid of koala sanctuaries.
Really?
Why don't you release stickers that say "fuck you koalas" in National Party electorates? But you know what I've just realised, Charles? What? You know what the Environment Minister does?
What?
Approves gas fields. Suddenly all makes sense. Oh dear.
Oh.
Awkward.
Yeah, that's not great.
So it's Tanya.
Tanya's going to be the one who...
So she was... So that's her career ruined.
Well, no,
genius.
Her career
No,
was
Genius.
We've
That
gone
is
full circle now.
That is
Charles is
amazing
like,
genius
amazing.
by Anthony Albanese.
I mean,
Yeah.
to make your enemy the person who has to
Who
do
has
all
to
the
approve
approval of the
coal
gas
mines.
fields and the coal mines.
Yeah.
To be fair to Tanya Plibersek, her career was ruined when she decided to be Bill Shorten's deputy. I mean, that was unfortunate. So there you go, first 100 days.
Yep.
And amazing to see all these gas projects being approved.
It's so crazy to announce what you've done in 100 days. I feel like it's like, wait till you've done a full year, for God's sake. Like 100 days, you haven't. It's not enough in a job for us to.
No,
Don't you
exactly.
think?
It'd be like, because when I sort of started out here, like first 100 days.
We avoided bankruptcy. We probably did have a party.
Yeah, that's right. Like it would have been, get my email under control or something. Like,
I mean, my view with the Chaser is that my productivity here needs to be measured over the first 100 years. That's all.
100 years.
Our Gearisham Road, we're part of the Acast Creator Network. We'll see you next time. I will actually be in LA the next time we speak.
Wow.
Goodness me, how very Kyle Sanderlands of you.
Yes, so I'll be broadcasting from LA for the next few weeks.
Why are you still doing the show when you're in America?
Oh, I pity you, Dom. That's right.
That's a good answer. I do too.